Good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon, classmates. Total, nauuso naman ngayon sa panahon natin ang pakikipag-chismisan. Chismis dito, chismis doon, chismis sa kanto, kung ano-anong chismis. Minsan pa nga, hindi pa nakakapag-almusal, nasa kanto na sila nakikipag-chismisan. Nangyayain ang buhay ng mga buhay. Bakit hindi natin gawing inspirasyon ang pakikipag-chismisan? Pag-usapan natin yan. But, nagkakamali kayo sa hinigisip nyo. Hindi porket chismisan, pakikipag-chismisan na walang kwenta. Ang pag-chismisan natin ngayon ay patungkol sa organizational factors, opportunities, business ethics and tensions, behavior and evaluation. Tara, pag-usapan at gawing isang inspirasyon ang pakikipag. Let's begin. Organizational factors. The organizational factors values often have greater influence on decisions that a person own values. Ethical choices and business are most often made jointly in work groups in committee or in conversation and discussion with co-workers. Employees approach ethical issues on the basis of what they learn not only from their own backgrounds, but also from others in the organizational. The outcomes of this learning process depends on the strengths of personal values, the opportunities to behave unethically, and the exposure to others. An alignment between a person's own values and the values of the organizational help create positive work attitudes and organizational outcomes. Personal and organizational values is related to commitment, satisfaction, motivation, ethics, work stress, and anxiety. Although people outside the organizational, such as family members and friends, are also influence decision makers in the organizational develops a personality that helps determine what is and is not ethical. The organizational factors, including corporate cultures, ethical cultures, significance others, and obedience to authority. What is the corporate culture? Let's watch this video.
Corporate culture can be compared to natural forces, such as winds and tides, which are there in the background, sometimes unnoticed, sometimes obvious. Made of instinctive, repetitive habits and emotional responses, a company's culture is a collection of self-sustaining patterns of behaving, feeling, thinking, and believing that determine the way we do things around here.
When an organization is at its best, a culture is going to energize its employees and it's going to make people feel good about what they do to advance the strategic and operating priorities of the company. It's really an emotional energizer that you can't get anywhere else.
At its worst, the culture can be a drag on productivity and emotional commitment, undermining long-term success.
Instead of trying to change culture significantly, it's much better to concentrate on changing the behaviors because they're more tangible and measurable. Cultures don't change automatically, but they do tend to follow behavior change.
Focus on the critical few, a select group of important behaviors that would have great impact if put into practice by a significant number of people. Find a few things that people do that positively affect business performance, such as ways of talking with customers or starting meetings. Make sure those things are aligned with the company's overall strategy. Check that people feel good about doing these things so that you tap into emotional commitment. Next, translate those critical behaviors into simple, practical steps that people can take every day. Finally, select a few employees who will respond strongly to the new behaviors and who are likely to implement and spread them. Companies can gain a competitive advantage when they focus on changing a few important behaviors, tap into the powerful force of employees' emotions, and enlist informal leaders.
This ethical culture reflects the integrity of decisions made in its functions of many factors, including corporate policies, top management, leadership on ethical issues, the influence of coworkers, and the opportunity for unethical behavior. Take note, guys. Communications is also important in the creations of an effective ethical culture. There is a positive correlation between effective communication and empowerment and the development of an organization's ethical climate. Corporate cultures and ethical cultures are also associated with the idea that significance others within the organizations help determine ethical decisions within that organization. Next is significance others. They help workers on a daily basis with unfamiliar tasks and provide advice and information in both formal and informal ways. Co-workers, for instance, can offer help in the comment they make in discussions over lunch or within the boss is away. Obedience to authority helps explain why many employees solve business ethics issues by simply following the directives of supervisors and organizations that emphasize respect.
Obedience to authority. Obedience to authority is the tendency people have to try to please those in charge. Psychological evidence indicates that people tend to respect and follow those whom they perceive to have legitimate authority. This can lead to trouble if it causes people to fail to exercise their own independent ethical judgment. Most people can anticipate their superiors' desires and may act to please them even without being explicitly asked. For example, when Toshiba needed to inflate its earnings, implicit pressure from top officers was sufficient to induce division managers to misreport their earnings. Likewise, when Lance Armstrong, leader of his cycling team, signaled that the team needed to dope in order to successfully compete, his supporting riders quickly complied. So a willingness to follow instructions is generally a good thing. But blind obedience to those in charge can have unfortunate consequences when leaders lack ethical conviction themselves.
Number 4 is opportunity. Opportunity describes the conditions in an organization that limit or permit ethical or unethical behavior. Opportunity is also result from conditions that either provide rewards, whether internal or external. Examples of internal reward includes feelings of goodness and personal worth generated by performing altruistic acts, while examples of external rewards refers to what an individual expects to receive from others in the social environmental in terms of social approval, status, and opportunities. It also relates to individuals' immediate job context, where they work, whom they work with, and natures of the work. The immediate job context includes the motivational carrots and sticks superior used to influence employees. Number 5 is business ethics, intentions, behaviors, and evaluation. Business ethics evaluations and intention. Ethical dilemmas involves decisions rules which are often vague or conflict. Critical thinking plays a key role. A person's intentions and the final decisions on what action to take in the final step in the process. If intention and behavior are not consistent with ethical judgment, the individual may feel guilty. Most business people will make ethical mistakes. For example, when an advertising account executive is asked by her client to create an advertisement, other factors such as pressure from the client, the need to keep her job to pay her debts and living expenses, and the possibility of raise if she develops the advertisement successfully may influence her resolutions of this ethical dilemma. Because of these factors, she may decide to act unethically and develop the advertisement even though she believes it to be incorrect. In this example, her actions are inconsistent with her ethical judgment, meaning she will probably feel guilty about her decisions.